St. Anne, Missouri. A quiet, suburban town where the biggest concern used to be getting home before the streetlights came on. But in November of 1993, that sense of safety was shattered by a crime so cruel, so chilling, it carved scars into the heart of a community, scars that still haven't healed. Her name was Angie Houseman. Bright-eyed, always smiling, a fourth grader with dreams bigger than her tiny frame. Dreams of becoming a veterinarian one day. Angie wasn't just kind, she was extraordinary. The kind of child who once gave away her toy store winnings just to help other kids. She had a warmth about her, a glow that lit up every room she walked into and left behind an impression no one ever forgot. November 18th, 1993, a cold afternoon like any other. Angie stepped off her school bus, just 8 houses from the warmth of home, a walk she'd made countless times before, familiar, routine, safe, but this time, Angie never made it home. By nightfall, the comfort of routine had turned into rising panic. Her family called the police. The quiet streets erupted into urgency. Flyers blanketed storefronts, helicopters circled overhead, and one desperate question echoed through every home, every heart. Where's Angie? 9 days later, that haunting question was answered. And in the most unimaginable way. In the quiet stillness of the Bush Wildlife Area, just 20 miles from Angie's home, a deer hunter made a discovery no one should ever have to face. Tied to a tree, vulnerable to the freezing cold, lay the lifeless body of a child. It was Angie.
It's her. It's Angie.
Her wrists were bound in handcuffs, her face sealed with duct tape. She'd been gagged with fabric, torn from her own clothes. But the horror didn't end there. Autopsy reports revealed a chilling truth. Angie had been kept alive, tortured for days, before being left alone in the freezing woods. The official cause of death:
hypothermia.
She died cold, alone, terrified. At the scene, investigators uncovered crucial evidence: DNA, fingerprints, duct tape, and other biological traces. But in 1993, forensic science was still in its infancy. The fingerprint, no match. The DNA, impossible to decode. Yet detectives clung to hope. Every scrap, every fragment was preserved with care, in the belief that someday the future would bring justice Angie never got. For years, Angie's case cast a long, dark shadow over the region. Leads surfaced, only to vanish. Suspects were questioned. Rumors whispered through every corner, but nothing ever led to the truth. And then, in 2019, everything changed. Inside a cold case lab, scientists took a second look at something once dismissed: a small piece of pink trim from Angie's underwear. But this time, they were armed with cutting-edge DNA technology, far beyond anything that existed in the 90s, and they struck gold. The results pointed to one man: Earl Webster Cox. Cox was no stranger to the justice system. He was its frequent visitor, a convicted child molester dishonorably discharged from the U.S. Air Force for abusing minors overseas. He returned to Missouri and settled less than half a mile from Angie's home. In 1989, just 4 years before her abduction, he was caught abusing girls at a park. near her school. The pattern never stopped. In and out of prison, Cox would later be exposed as the ringleader of an international child exploitation network. By 2019, he was already behind bars, labeled too dangerous to ever walk free. Now, DNA had done what decades of investigation couldn't. It placed him at the scene of Angie's murder. Prosecutors hit Cox with the gravest charges:
First-degree murder. Kidnapping. Sodomy.
The DNA evidence was ironclad, undeniable. In court, Cox pled guilty,
He pled guilty.
sealing his fate with a life sentence and no possibility of parole. Justice, at last, had shown its face. But the shadows behind Angie's story hadn't fully cleared. Not yet. Authorities remained convinced of one chilling possibility.
While this verdict closes one chapter, the pursuit of justice is a continuous journey, and there is still much work to be done.
Cox didn't act alone. Someone else may have helped to abduct and torture Angie. Yet despite the breakthrough, no other arrests have followed. The case remains open, and the relentless search for the full truth is far from over. Angie Houseman wasn't just a case number. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, a bright little girl and who saw the good in everyone and who deserved a future. That was stolen far too soon. Her story stands as a haunting reminder. Even in the quietest of towns, darkness can lie in wait, and sometimes it takes decades for justice to finally speak.